I need to hear a little bit about, your personal story. I mean, in addition to you being extremely knowledgeable and also plugged in with DC and having the angle of CIA, which we really didn't even dive into all that stuff. Definitely have to have you back. I mean, you saw some really pivotal parts of American history where you were on the lines, you were in Pakistan, you saw that torture program. You mentioned that Cheney was in that room there, and then I guess you saw kind of the things that went into place. Maybe I start there. What was Cheney like? Then when you were in Pakistan, kind of what happened, and then how did that lead to you being in prison? Because that's a serious thing to happen to someone.
The first question is the easiest one. Cheney was a mean, cold, sociopathic son of a bitch. Nothing at all like George W. Bush. Bush was warm and friendly, not terribly bright, but the nicest guy in the world. I remember going to a briefing at the White House, and the guy that I went with was very portly, and he had a kind of a handlebar mustache, and the president made a joke about the mustache, and he said, "I see you've got," I forget exactly what he said. "I see you've got a so-and-so thing going." And he alluded to some entertainer. And my friend said, "Actually, I think I've got a William Howard Taft thing going." I had to think about the president because he was so fat. You know, these stories that William Howard Taft got stuck in a bathtub and it took 6 men to pull him out. It's probably not true, but this is the story in history. And W laughed to the point where, like, I thought, like, water was going to squirt out of his nose or something. And Cheney just stood there like a statue. Cheney was a liar, a manipulator. When he wasn't getting the intelligence that he wanted from the CIA, he just had the Defense Department create its own intelligence through Ahmed Chalabi and the Iraqi National Congress. They just made it up. The CIA said repeatedly that there were no weapons of mass destruction, and Cheney insisted that no, there were, and the CIA just hadn't found them. So the Iraqi National Congress and Ahmed Chalabi said there were, so we're going to war for that. Cheney, you know, I can't believe Cheney's still alive, too, with all the health problems that he's had, but he was just one of the most despicable figures I've ever encountered in government. Now, after 9/11, literally everybody at CIA headquarters volunteered to go to Afghanistan and fight. And my Arabic was absolutely perfect at the time, fluent. I was very proud of my Arabic language skills. And I volunteered repeatedly to go, and they just wouldn't send me. And I was enraged. And it turned out that they wouldn't send me because I only found out accidentally. I ran into a buddy of mine who was this legendary figure, Billy Waugh. Billy was a contractor, but he had won something like 13 or 14 Purple Hearts over the course of 3 wars. And there was this period of about 6 weeks that I just didn't see him. He just vanished. And I ran into him in the hall and I said, "Hey, Billy, where you been?" And he whispers, "I've been in Afghanistan." I said, "Yeah, what are you doing in Afghanistan?" And he looks at me like I'm crazy. And he says, "I've been killing people. What do you think I've been doing?" And it dawned on me that that's why they haven't sent me to Afghanistan. They don't need linguists. They're not like debriefing anybody. They're just killing them. So I went into the office of the Deputy Director for Counterterrorism, who was an old buddy of mine. And I said, "Listen, if you don't send me to Afghanistan right now, I am walking straight to Exxon and I am not looking back." And he's like, "All right, take it easy. Can you go to Pakistan?" I said, "Yes." "When?" He said, "Tomorrow." I said, "Yes. What do you want me to do?" He said, "I want you to be chief of counterterrorism operations." I said, "Done. Let me just go home and pack." And he said, "Okay." So I called my girlfriend, who later became my wife. She was also a senior CIA officer. I said, "I got to go to Pakistan." She said, "When?" "Tomorrow." She goes, "Okay, I'll help you pack." She met me at my apartment, and the next morning I went to Pakistan and all hell broke loose.
What do you mean by all hell broke loose?
Oh, I came up with this idea, I'm very proud to say. We had officers, like individual officers, all the way up and down the U.S.-Pakistan border. And I said, you know, this is so this is so inefficient for us to have all these people just out in the wilderness on the top of these mountains, hoping that some Al-Qaeda guy is going to be coming up the path, and he grabs him. I said, let's pull everybody off the border, bring them into Pakistan, let the bad guys come into Pakistan. They'll end up in some safe house someplace, and they're going to make a mistake. They always make a mistake. And then we grab them. So that's what we did. We pulled everybody off the border. Of course, thousands, hundreds, whatever it was, of Al-Qaeda fighters come into the country. They all go in these safe houses. And what do? They immediately get on their cell phone. And we're like, thank you, NSA, for the tip. 2 o'clock in the morning, we bust down the door, and we just grabbed more people than we knew what to do with. It was hundreds and hundreds of Al-Qaeda fighters. And we got to the point very quickly where the Pakistani brigadier general that I was working with most closely said to me one night, listen, we filled the jail. There's no more room, not for one more guy. You got to do something with these guys. So I called headquarters and I said, the Paks are telling me that the jail's full. We were putting them in Rawalpindi jail because it was centrally located just outside of Islamabad. And I said, the jail's full. We got to get rid of these guys. What do you want me to do with them? And they said, put them on a C-12 and send them to Guantanamo. And I said, Guantanamo, Cuba? And they said, yeah. I said, why in the world would we send them to Cuba? And they said, well, we came up with this idea. We send them to Cuba until we can decide which federal district to try them in, either Boston, New York, Washington, or Eastern District of Virginia. And then we divide them up and send them to the districts for trial. I said, oh, that's a great idea. Okay. So we had like a fleet of C-12s that would just come in, land, we load these guys on in handcuffs, and then they take off. And they would all go to Guantanamo. And as it turned out, as they were arriving and populating Guantanamo, which got up to over 700 people at one point, Dick Cheney said, you know what? Let's not send them to those federal districts. And that's how Guantanamo became Guantanamo. But the way I made a real name for myself at the agency, in addition to just blind luck in some of these raids, was the capture of Abu Zubaydah, who was the number 3, we believed at the time was the number 3 in Al-Qaeda. He wasn't the number 3, but he was a very bad man. And he was the very first high-value target that we were able to locate and find. We had killed Mohammed Atif, who had been the director of military affairs for Al-Qaeda. We were able to drone him to death in Tora Bora, but Abu Zubaydah was the first one we took alive, and catching him that night literally changed the course of the rest of my life. My life was never the same, for better or for worse. Mostly for worse.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, do you want to profit from crypto? Then join my DeFi Academy. The Crypto DeFi Academy will help you create generational wealth. But don't take my word for it. Listen to my students.
When I first got into crypto, I remember thinking to myself, I need to learn more. Brian Rose, learning crypto, learning DeFi, gotta do it.
I am so grateful that I jumped in and did this. I had to break through some limiting beliefs that I can do this, that I can afford this, that I can be in this.
It challenges the things that are deeply rooted within us.
Joining DeFi Academy has been one of the best decisions I have made on my blockchain journey.
This course was a life changer, a game changer, a huge eye-opener, coming from knowing practically nothing at the speed of the learning over 4 weeks was just fantastic.
The information you provided in this class was invaluable.
I feel far more confident in my next steps.
You took complex concepts and made them easier to understand.
What's different than so many other ones is it just doesn't tell you what to do. It actually makes you do it.
This is for people who are serious about becoming traders. This is the way it should be done.
I realized from this learning experience again that it is not about what you learn, but about who you learn it from.
The energy was insane. I've never experienced such incredible energy on a live call. Brian Rose, you are a legend, my friend.
It's the only thing in the market where you can get all information and learn everything what you need to know.
Everything is so clear and so well done, and I'm just forever grateful for this program.
It made me feel so much more confident about crypto than I did before.
I did not anticipate how passionate I was going to become about it.
It's also been like a big learning experience for me, not just in the crypto space, but just in overall balance of life.
What I've learned is, how to take ownership, of my life in a way that I really hadn't before.
Yeah, you can't put a price on that, really.
I would recommend it to anybody, top notch.
Excellence does not come cheap. So if you want excellence, you gotta pay for it, but it's so worth it.
Pull the trigger. That's what this course is about.
You're not going to regret it, really. It's amazing.
Thank you, Brian and team.
So what are you waiting for? Crypto is happening now. Click the link below, submit your application, and let me mentor you on how to create generational wealth and build the decentralized financial infrastructure of the future.